Last year was my first year going to Quiltcon, and if I'm being honest, I did not know what I was getting myself into. There's so much to do at Quiltcon. It's really easy to miss out on a whole bunch if you don't plan appropriately. Last year I missed out on a lot, but this year I have some lessons learned that I'm going to apply to my experience so that I can get more out of the event, and that's what this video is all about. I'm going to talk to you about what to pack and take with you to QuiltCon, what type of activities to expect, and we're also going to talk about the Quiltcon app, which is what you can use to keep on top of all of the different happenings. Hey friends, welcome back to my sewing room. My name is Becca, and if you are new around here, I am a quilter that loves technology and has a passion for teaching. In today's video, we're going to dive into all three of those areas so that all of the questions that you might have about QuiltCon are answered and you're prepared for the event that's going to be in just about a month. So my first tip for you is to go in having a plan. There are so many different activities at QuiltCon. Obviously, you know there are lectures, there are workshops, there's shopping, and there are quilts on exhibit, but there are other things that are happening too. And your time can really get away from you if you don't carve out pieces of time for each of those areas. So let me talk to you first about the activities that happen in the vendor hall that you might not be aware of. The first thing you're going to notice when you walk into QuiltCon, there is a registration area. So even though you may have bought your QuiltCon tickets in advance, you're still going to have to go through this registration process. When you do this, you're going to give them your information and you will get a lovely name tag that you'll wear throughout the event. That's kind of your ticket into the show. It doesn't matter whether you have a one-day pass or a multiple-day pass, you're still going to need to do that. And don't worry, if you did not buy your ticket in advance, you're going to be able to buy one at the door. Secondly, you may see some folks walking around with a lovely swag bag. I was totally confused by this last year. I wanted one. I didn't get one. I didn't know how to get it. So let me tell you right now, there are some individuals that will likely get a goodie bag from the Modern Quilt Guild. If you register for QuiltCon by a certain date, your name is entered into a pool of folks that they randomly pull to award these little swag bags. You can't buy them. They're special and they're only for the people that won that giveaway. In the registration area, there was also a class and lecture swap board. And gosh, I wish I would have known this last year. I bought so many workshops and so many lectures, and I didn't attend them all. I could have saved some money, or I could have sold them off. There are several people that sign up for classes and lectures, and for a variety of reasons, they're unable to attend them or maybe just don't want to. And so they're looking to trade or sell those classes. Last year in the lobby area of the QuiltCon vendor hall, there was a bulletin board. It was a swap board, and people that had classes or lectures that they were willing to trade or sell pinned them up there. So sometimes if there is a class that you were really interested in getting into, but maybe it was sold out, if you keep your eye on that bulletin board, there may be a vacancy made available at a very discounted rate. Now, speaking of workshops and lectures, I want to make sure that you know what the difference is. You probably already do since registration happened months ago, but in case you're new around here, let me just break it down for you. A workshop is a class. And it can go anywhere from 2 hours to all day. It is hands-on and you're going to be doing something. A lecture, on the other hand, is a presentation. You're going to listen to somebody speak for 1 hour and you're going to take your notes, photos, and videos. Two different things, two different price points. Now, one thing that the Modern Quilt Guild did do is give you an all-access pass for lectures. Last year, this cost $240, and what that meant is I could go to any lecture I wanted to go to. For me, that was the biggest waste of money because I bought the all-access pass so I could go to every single lecture, and do you know how many I actually went to? 0. So this year, I did not sign up for that all-access pass because it was quite expensive and I didn't go to any of them. But I do think that they are worth the money. If you're only going to be at QuiltCon for 1 or 2 of the days, you're not going to be there for the whole weekend, my advice would be find the lectures that are going to happen when you're going to be there that you know you want to go to and purchase passes for those. If you are not able to make it to Raleigh, North Carolina for Quiltcon 2024, the Modern Quilt Guild has you covered. They do have a streaming pass available, so you can participate in all 4 days of the lectures right from the comfort of your own home. Or if you are going to be there, you can do it from the comfort of your hotel room. Workshops and lectures, by the way, do not happen in the vendor hall. They are outside of the vendor hall. And depending on the convention center that Quiltcon is being held at, it could take you a few minutes to travel to that classroom or lecture hall. So make sure you prepare for that. This year, based on the floor plan that I saw in the Quiltcon app, which we'll get to in just a few moments, it does look like the convention center is one building. One floor of it is going to be for the vendor hall and the quilts. One floor is for classrooms, and then one floor is for the lecture hall. Okay, so let's talk about what happens in the vendor hall. Oh my goodness, you guys, there's so much going on. There's so much inspiration, there's so much shopping, there's so many people, and it can feel a little overwhelming. You might even feel like a kid in a candy store. So my advice to you is just to figure out how much time you have for QuiltCon and which areas do you want to spend your time in. One side of the hall will be dedicated to all of the quilts that are on display, and there are over 400 of them that will be displayed, and the other side will be all the shopping. Now, those vendor booths will sometimes have really good deals for QuiltCon, and sometimes those vendor booths are not selling anything. There are some vendor booths that are there just to offer a make and take or just to get their name out there. So I would encourage you to look around, see what all the booths have to offer, and if they have a make and take, try it. If you don't know what a make and take is, it was super cool. Some of the vendors had an activity that you could do in their booth for free. For example, last year, Spoonflower had these beautiful little pieces of canvas fabric that they had donated using the Spoonflower fabric. And they had spools of embroidery thread, embroidery needles, and all of the notions that you needed. And if you sat down at their table, they had volunteers at the booth that taught you how to make a backstitch and hand embroidery so that you could hand embroider your own QuiltCon name tag. Some of the other booths there were pretty cool too. I believe it was Ruby Star Society, but I might be off on that. They had a postcard booth. They weren't selling anything. They were just there to get their name out, and their whole purpose of their booth was to send a postcard from QuiltCon to folks that had signed up to receive one and couldn't make it. I filled out probably about 10 postcards, and they put them in the mail, put the postage on it, dropped them in the mail. So 10 people out there have a postcard from me from QuiltCon last year. Lots of different activities happening. So make sure that you're paying attention to the things that are going on so that you don't miss out. Couple more things about the vendor hall. The quilt exhibit area, sometimes space can be a little tight. So if you are planning to take photos or videos of the quilts that are on display, just be aware of the people that are around you because there's going to be a lot of people admiring all that work. Also, keep in mind that QuiltCon does sell a book of all of the quilts that are on display, beautiful photographs with all of the artist statements on it, so you don't have to take pictures of them yourselves. Maybe just prioritize taking pictures or video clips of the ones that you loved the most. So QuiltCon is a really big place. There are a lot of people there, and it's likely you're going to see some Sew-lebrities. If you do, keep in mind that these personalities probably don't know you by face, so they're not going to recognize you and probably won't approach you. If you see somebody that you recognize and you want to meet them, the ball is in your court. You can approach them, let them know you enjoy their content, but have your camera ready and ask them to take a photo. You may even get brownie points if you offer to post that photo on social media and tag them in it. Now that you know what to expect from the vendor hall, you can prioritize what you want to do and just kind of deprioritize the things you don't want to do. Keep in mind, Quiltcon exhibits are open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then on Sunday, it is from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. If you are staying over in Raleigh for any of those days, that'll give you plenty of time in the evening to do something fun after hours. I will say last year, one of the things that I thought was really cool is quilters just kind of organically started forming little happy hours and socializing and network parties for after the exhibits were closed. Keep your ears peeled for some of those things because some of them you might want to go to. Or if you're so inclined, organize one yourself and send me an invite. So let's talk about packing. When you go to Quiltcon, if you're going to stay over, you know what to pack for your hotel, your Airbnb, your friend's couch, wherever you're staying. The only thing I'm going to tell you is you probably won't have the energy or the desire to work on any projects. So maybe consider leaving your big sewing projects, your sewing machine, your iron, all of your notions. Consider leaving that at home so that you can focus on being at Quiltcon. For the vendor hall, though, boy, do I have a list of recommendations for you. And it all starts off with your feet because you're going to do a lot of walking. You want to make sure to have a good pair of walking shoes and, based on feedback I've gotten from several of you, maybe even a good pair of compression socks. Now, I don't own any compression socks, but I do plan to buy a pair before Quiltcon. Apparently, they make a world of difference. The next thing you're going to want is a bag to put all of your goodies in. Lots of shopping, lots of make and takes, lots of things that you can get, and you're going to want to have a place to put them all in. You can opt for a nice big tote bag that you just carry over your shoulder, or maybe a small rolling bag. Now, every convention center is a little different. I can't tell you what the Raleigh Convention Center is going to permit. However, last year in Atlanta, you were allowed to bring in a small rolling bag. I have a backpack that I can wear as a backpack, or I can just carry as a bag, but it also has a handle and a couple of wheels in it so I can pull it behind me. So this is a multi-purpose bag that will fit for any convention center that I go to. I'm planning to bring that with me, and if you are curious about what I have or want to pick up one similar to it, I will link to it in the description box down below. Now for my bag, there are a few things that I actually want to put in there and make sure I have with me. The first one is going to be a good water bottle. I have a water bottle with a sport top on it that makes it leak proof, and it holds a good bit of water. It's going to be important to me that I have water on hand throughout the day so I stay hydrated without having to spend a lot of money at the concession stand. Sometimes convention centers will tell you that you can't bring in outside food or drink, but they will allow you to bring in water or a container for water from the water fountains. So I'm planning to bring a double wall insulated water bottle so that I can fill it up, keep the water nice and chilly, and stay hydrated throughout the day. Another thing that you're going to want to bring is something to charge your phone. Now you can bring a cord and a plug, but let's do the math. There are only so many outlets in the exhibit hall, and there's going to be a ton of people. So the likelihood of you actually getting to an outlet to be able to charge your phone might be pretty slim. So for that reason, I'm going to tell you to bring a backup battery. And I have one I'm going to bring, and I recommend. It's linked in the description box down below. It's a relatively cheap investment, and it should last you a while. This will allow you to charge your phone or your device while you're moving around the exhibit hall. And let's face it, you're going to be taking lots of pictures and lots of video clips, so your battery is going to drain pretty quickly. Another thing I'm going to put in my bag is just a small something that I can use to take a break. I may want to have a break at Quiltcon where I just get off of my feet and just relax and unwind a little bit. And I might not want to go all the way back to my hotel room to do that. And so I might bring a small embroidery project or a book or something that I can do by myself when I'm sitting down out of the way, just trying to decompress. And then the last thing that I'm going to bring, which will probably be in my pocket, not in my bag, is some business cards. Now, listen, you don't need to be an industry professional to have a business card made. This is a genius idea that I saw happening last year. Consider going to Vistaprint and making about 100 cards or so that have your email address and your social media handles and maybe even a picture of yourself so folks can remember you. And that way, when you meet a new friend that you want to keep in touch with after Quiltcon is over, you can just hand them your card without having to fumble with phones and store each other's contacts. One more thing about shopping. If you plan to buy Quiltcon merchandise, t-shirts, enamel pins, whatever the case may be, make sure to do that early because they will run out. Now, this year, the Modern Quilt Guild does give you the option to buy it ahead of schedule. I don't know if you can still do that as of the recording of this video, but you can go on there, fill out your shirt size, pay for it, have everything done, and then just pick it up at QuiltCon. That might be the better option. But if you don't get a chance to do that, I would hit that QuiltCon merch booth before you even go into the exhibit hall, because if they sell out of your shirt size, you're done. So that's what you're going to need to consider when you're preparing for QuiltCon. But there's one more thing that's going to help you make this entire experience a success, and that's the QuiltCon app. Okay, I'm going to do my best to walk you through the QuiltCon app, but I'm not going to go over every little detail. I'm just going to show you a few things that you might find helpful for the event. And I am assuming that you have already installed it, you've already created your account using the passcode that was emailed to you, and you've already established your profile. So let's just get to it. This is going to move a little quick, so if you need to pause the video and rewind it at any point, totally understand. In the upper right-hand corner, if you click on those three options and then tap the gear icon, this is where you're going to get to all of your settings. And this, Edit My Info, is where you're going to update your profile. So if you want to change your profile information, this is where you do it. And up here is where you're going to change your profile picture. Once you have this filled out to your satisfaction, you'll hit next, and then you're going to answer the questions about whether or not you want your information shared with other attendees, sponsors, or exhibitors, yes or no, and then hit finish. Up at the top, you'll have access to the full QuiltCon schedule. You can browse by day, instructor, lectures, workshops, whatever works for you. And as you're going through the list, you can find items that you want to make sure you attend, and just put a star next to it, and that's going to add it to your schedule favorites. This is the same thing, same type of functionality. It's just only the items that you have favorited. If there's something on this list that you're no longer going to do, you can remove it by tapping the star, and that will take it off. If there's something that you want to make sure that you are tracking for the QuiltCon agenda, you can add meeting down here, and this will put something on your list. It won't be for everybody, it'll just be something for you. On the home screen, there is a vendor hall item. Honestly, this is my favorite thing of the entire app. This gives you an interactive map of the vendor hall. On the left-hand side, you can see this is where all the quilts are going to be. And as I scroll over to the right, here is the demo stage, the concession stand. When I zoom out a little bit, you can see all the restrooms are noted in red, lots of bathrooms to get to. And over here on this side are all of my vendor booths. And this is going to be awesome. All of these booths are identified with a booth number and the vendor that's going to be in that booth. If there is a vendor that you want to make sure you stop at, you can tap on their icon and tap favorite at the bottom. When you go back to that screen, you'll see that it's marked orange. It's only orange because you are actively tapped on that one. If I tap away from it, onto a different booth, you'll see now it's yellow. So the takeaway here for you is when you're looking at your map, it's color coded. If it's blue, it's just a booth that's there. You're not planning to do anything with it. You didn't note it for anything. If it is yellow, it is a booth that you have favorited and want to go to. If it is orange, you've actively tapped on that one booth. And if it is green, that means that you have tapped the visited check mark. You're just noting that you've already been there. So if you're putting two and two together, what you can see is a visual layout for all the booths that you want to go to, you don't want to go to, and you have already gone to. If seeing the vendors in a visual layout is not your cup of tea, you can tap exhibitors. It will give you all the vendors in an alphabetical list. And from there, you can do the same thing that you did before. You can hit the star icon for something you want to go to, the check mark icon for something that you already went to, or remove both the check mark and or the star. If you want to see it sorted by booth number, Booth list will do that for you. Floor plan will take you back to the floor plan, and the home button will take you back to the home. If you want to find other people that have installed the app and are sharing their profile, you will do that in Find App Users. This will list everybody that is sharing their profile. You can tap on one of them to get their profile information, add them as a contact, message them directly, or add them to your favorites. If you can't find them by scrolling through multiple pages, you can tap this search bar up at the top, and then you can type in their name, and it will return anybody that matches your search criteria. Here I've got Ian. If I go back to my home screen, I can go to attendees you've favorited, and anybody that I put the star next to is going to be listed right here. Now, I am going to note that the app is okay for keeping in touch with people that you don't already have contact information for. This is a little clunky. It's not as polished as your text messaging app or Facebook Messenger. So if you've got somebody else's contact information, maybe just use that instead of this. Back on the home screen, the only other thing I want to show you are these options that are down at the bottom. After Quiltcon is over, there's going to be an option for you to take a survey. This is how you get your feedback back to the Modern Quilt Guild. Messages gets you to the place where all of your messages are from any of the other app users that are messaging you. Search is a universal search, so if I type in a word, it's going to search everything in Quiltcon for that word. I've typed in Tucker, and I can see there is one app user, Helen Tucker. It doesn't mean that Tucker Nace, for those of you that are tracking where I'm going with this, isn't going to Quiltcon. It just means that he has not made a profile that is visible to everybody. Under Maker and Quilts, you can see what has matched the Tucker search criteria, and these really kind of give you the same information. If I tap on Tucker Nace here, it's just going to list out all of the quilts just in a list that his name is associated with. When I tap on the quilt, it's going to open up the screen that has all the information for the quilt. Now, there's a couple of things down here that are really kind of cool. The first one is I can hit favorite. So this is a way I can signify I want to see this quilt in person. But if I want to see more detail on the quilt, I can tap View Quilt down here on the right. It's going to show me a nice high quality image of the quilt, and I can zoom way in to see all of the detail on the quilting and the piecing for that beautiful piece of work. And I can share it. I can email it to somebody, or I can save the photo to my camera roll. When I tapped on that up arrow, I just chose photo, and then the image was saved to my camera roll. So if I go to my photos, you'll see that picture was saved on my device. And guess what? This is a better quality picture than I'm going to be able to get at Quiltcon. I have it right here. It was beautifully photographed, so I don't have to worry about taking pictures or video clips of any of the quilts at Quiltcon. The last thing that I want to note is the notes. When you attend a lecture or a workshop that has notes for you, if you tap on My Notes, those slides are going to be available for you here. They're not ready yet because Quiltcon is not open, so I don't have anything here to share with you, but there should be a way that you annotate or mark up those notes on your device, and you can email them to yourself, but I can't demonstrate that for you. Just know if somebody at Quiltcon tells you to check your notes, that's where you're going to go. Last thing to point out is the refresh data over here on the right. Sometimes the data can be a little bit slow getting to your device. So if you want to force a refresh, you just tap refresh data and the app will update all of the content. So those are my tips for how I'm going to make Quiltcon 2024 even better than Quiltcon 2023. And I got to tell you, I am so excited. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please consider giving me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below too. I'll see you guys all at Quiltcon in Raleigh. And hey, if you see me there, even if I'm sitting in the corner taking a decompress break, feel free to come up and say hi. I don't bite and I love meeting new people. I'll see you guys all in the next video. Bye!